All right, hey, welcome to another episode of geekoutdoors.com. And so, for anybody who's actually been watching my channel for a while, who have been basically subscribed to my channel, they probably know that I have done live videos before. I think the last live video I did was like in 2018. And so now I'm actually trying this new version just to see how it works. And so the setup looks like it's easier because whenever I go up to the, when you're in your back end on your channel, you could actually choose to create video and then there's an option to go live. However, you're still going to need to use some type of streaming service. And in this case, I'm using OBS. And hopefully the stream looks okay. I'll probably know after this is recorded. And with most of my live videos that I did in the past, I try to schedule it once per week, but I'll explain to you why I stopped doing live videos. And most of the times I just kind of do it randomly, just whenever I feel like it. So which is what I'm doing today. And the way that you do live video on YouTube, I might do another video updating this. But as I stated earlier, once you get into your backend, you choose create video, and then you just create a live video, and that's how you do it. And let me see if I could switch over to my screen. I don't know if this is going to work well because I could kind of see some lag. I don't know if this is going to work. Let me see. So hopefully you can see that. I think you can see that. And so that is my desktop right now. And let me just go to my playlist right here. So I'm not sure if they can see that. Let me move over. Okay. It doesn't look like it's showing my screen. Maybe it's just a preview. Okay. So that's the thing about live. You think you might know how it's going to work, especially if you've done it before, but sometimes it doesn't quite work the way you want it to. But if it's showing my screen, then you could probably see my YouTube live stream playlist. Yeah, so it is showing up right now. And so as you can see here, I've done a lot of live videos before. And I think at the time when I started doing these live videos, I think it was like March of 2017 was my very first live video. And the last video I posted was June 23rd, 2018. And at the time I started doing the live videos was something that was fairly new in the whole YouTube space, I would say. And it was becoming extremely popular, especially on platforms like Facebook Live and so forth. So obviously YouTube wanted to get in on it, and also Twitch streaming as well. But over time, at least for me, the live videos didn't really work out as well for a few things. The first thing is my channel was much smaller back then. And so I didn't have a lot of people who were joining, but I do want to definitely thank you everybody who joined the live streams back then. These are people who have been long time supporters of the channel, fellow geeks, and you know who you are. You can watch all my old live streams to see them. They were awesome. So I do have to say that. But the second thing, at least for me, is the time. For people who do a lot of live videos, and it's really worked well for them, I give my hats off to them, because for me myself it hasn't worked that well, because it does take a lot of time. Things, it takes time for you to plan things out, and also to get things set up, especially before this whole thing where they change over to this OBS and all this other stuff. Before, it was simple because YouTube was pretty much hooked up to Google Hangouts, and I still think you can use the old Google Hangouts. I'm not sure, but before you would just go live and it would hook straight up to Hangouts. It was so much easier. But nowadays you have to actually use some type of streaming software. And if you go to their help page, it shows you all the available encoders that you can use. And it's pretty technical, to be honest with you. It took me a long time to do the live stream the first time using this new method. And I don't even remember what the method I used before. I think I was using the older method, which was way simpler. But once they moved over to having your own encoding software, it was just really complex. And so that's the first thing, the time that it took to actually learn how to do this. Oh, hey, high-end cheap tech, how's it going? Let me take this chat out. Okay, and let me go ahead and, all right, so that'll work. So then I can at least see the chat. And so thanks for joining High End Cheap Tech. High End Cheap Tech is a channel of a fellow creator and also somebody who's been in the geek communities or geek outdoors community for a while, but he has his own channel. I actually did a video covering his channel and another channel as well. And they are smaller YouTubers, but just they're creators. You know, they have their own community. And so that's another thing that just going back to the whole channel thing is the time, you know, the YouTube live, because it does take time for you to actually do this, you know, and that's one thing that I kind of figured out over time, that I myself in an hour or so, I would normally do like 30 minutes to sometimes an hour on a YouTube live stream. In that time, I could have created more content. That was my whole thinking, you know, and that's kind of why I stopped doing the YouTube lives, because not only was the audience, that just wasn't enough in terms of the size of the audience, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but also mainly for me, it is the time. Because the time that I would spend doing a YouTube live, I could have created like a whole week's worth of content, you know, that could help even more people. And so that's really the main reason why I stopped doing live videos. And then the other thing is, at least for my audience, you know, when I was doing the live videos, they were primarily Linux related stuff. I mean, that's pretty much the majority of the people on my channel. But that's the other part of the live stream that I'm talking about, is basically the channel updates. And so if you have been watching my channel, if you've been a long time you know, subscriber, or you've been watching my videos, then you've probably seen a lot of my videos. I've been really transitioning more to the content creation and also to digital marketing as well, because those are two things that I'm really passionate about. And so that's kind of where my channel has been heading, you know. And if I actually go over to my main, let me go to my channel, and oh well, that's not what I wanted to do, but okay. And so if you've seen a lot of my videos, I have been changing all of them, you know, and so it's been transitioning over time. And this is another thing that I do want to talk about, especially if you are a creator. If you are someone who is just starting out, then obviously you're going to have a lot of flexibility and freedom to kind of like test out a lot of things, make a whole bunch of different types of videos. And I think everybody's going to go through that. Unless you already have experience creating content, then I highly recommend that you test as much as possible. Now, I have done a video before that if you do want to basically grow your channel faster, I don't recommend you do what I did. And what I mean by that is, if you are going to be starting out a channel, if you do variety of content, which is what I primarily do, then it's going to be way harder for your channel to grow. Now, whenever I started the channel, I knew it was going to be focused on geeky stuff. And so even though if it was a variety channel, it covered like certain categories of stuff, you know, had different playlists for different groups. But then over time, as my channel started, you know, growing, and I started learning more, and then just really becoming passionate about content creation and digital marketing, mainly content creation, I really wanted to start converting my channel over to that. And so there are definitely some pros and cons in doing that. So the first and biggest pro is that I'm, you know, really going towards more of the content that I enjoy. And the second thing is I'm also finding other people who enjoy the same thing, because at the end of the day, whatever content that you create, you're gonna have to find people that actually, you know, have the same likes or dislikes or values basically that you do. So you're gonna have to find an audience for that. That's first and foremost. And then the second thing is, since I am creating things that I enjoy, and this is actually what I do. I mean, I do content creation and digital marketing. This is what I do in the real world, specifically the digital marketing. So it all like works together. Okay, so I think that's an ideal situation if you can create content that is in line with what your actual lifestyle is. I like the whole approach of integrating. And so these are things that I already do anyway. And so I thought it makes sense for me to create content on that. Okay, so that's kind of like the general pros of doing it that way. The cons is definitely in the fact that because you are changing your content, or maybe focusing on content that is not really the content that your original audience came for, you can expect a lot of changes in terms of getting less views. Your growth is going to slow down because there's definitely a transition period, and for some people, they might never hit that transition, and that's kind of why whenever I'm making these videos, I do definitely like to, be mindful of the fact that the audience that I have, this is really not what they came for. Just to be honest, most of them came for Linux content because that's pretty much the videos that brought in a lot of people. But ever since the beginning of my channel, that really wasn't the point of my channel. I have made other videos about it that even though I love using Linux, that's not the primary goal of my channel. The primary goal of my channel is focusing on content creation, digital marketing, the overall geek lifestyle. And more, that's really where I want to take my channel, and that's pretty much what I enjoy doing the most. And that is a really hard thing because if you are a content creator, then you know that most of the times you're going to be paying a lot of attention to subscriber growth. How many subscribers that you have, how many views that you're getting, and all of those things are very important. But one thing that I've noticed as a content creator is it's a long-term game. And if you're constantly creating content that, even though it'll bring in the views and subscribers, but you're not happy making that content, then eventually your content quality, the value that you're giving is going to suffer. And then you might actually hate doing the content. And that's not really where I want it to go. And at the same time, I don't, I definitely don't make the content just for myself, because obviously I want to make sure that there's an audience for it. And so that is a really challenging part of being a content creator, balancing that that need to grow, but at the same time that need to be fulfilled in your own self as a creator as well. And so I think that is something that every YouTube content creator, or just content creator in general, at some point they're going to actually have to deal with that. And so I have made a video on that before as well, where I talk about I guess it was growth, and what your priorities are. That's pretty much what it is. And so if your priorities are to actually hey Carlos, how's it going? I'm gonna go ahead and leave this up. Okay, so Carlos is another longtime supporter, and I do want to thank him because he's actually from another country. If I remember correctly, Carlos, he's from Brazil, so South America. And so that is really awesome. And yeah, so that's the thing that you're going to face as a content creator is as you're going through this, you're going to have to make a decision on what your priorities are. And so for me, my priority has pretty much always been, and you could look at one of my older videos where I think I had like 12 subscribers or something. And I talked about what my goals were with this YouTube channel, and it's still the same, and I'll probably just link the video in the description area below. That's always been my goal with this channel. I always wanted to be somebody who is an educator, because I really feel that is important. That's why I think most people go to YouTube. They want to learn something, or actually want to be entertained. let me switch that around. Most people come to YouTube to be entertained, and all you have to do is go to the main YouTube homepage. Okay. And well, this isn't the main one, but this is from the things that I like. But most people come to YouTube to be entertained, and that's normal because most people watch TV or listen to the radio to be entertained. That's what people do, and there's definitely nothing wrong with that. That's probably where you're going to get the most amount of views and subscribers. And so entertainment is definitely one part of my goals, but really the goal before all of that is to be an educator, because I really feel that with YouTube, you have a very powerful platform that you can actually teach people and help people, because the internet has changed so many things. And I'm really going to focus on the education part, because I think that's really important. And that's really my mission with this channel and what I'm doing. And then the third thing, the reason why I want, the main thing that I want to do with this YouTube channel, I'm talking about my goals and priorities, is to, do something with business, entrepreneurship. Because with these internet platforms, there's never been a time before the internet that you could do this, where you could be just somebody in front of a camera like I am here at home, and you could reach potentially billions of people around the world. And the cost is like really next to nothing compared to before. Before, if you wanted to reach people all around the world, you would need to have millions and millions of dollars, and to do this live, to have a TV setup, all this stuff, I would say for most people is pretty much impossible to do. And so with all of that, I definitely want to make YouTube and the internet as a whole, this is something I'm doing as a business, the whole entrepreneurship end, because there's so much opportunity there. And that's those three core components, the entertainment component, because, I want to enjoy myself when I'm watching content, the educational component and the entrepreneurial component. Those are always my three goals. And that's something that I talked about many years ago when I had like 12 subscribers or something. And so that's still the same, and it's always going to be the same. Now, let me get to the whole education stuff and why it is related to my content and why I feel this is the most valuable thing, in my opinion, that we could do as creators. Because when people come to YouTube, okay, besides the entertainment, which I think it has its own value, people come here because they want to learn something, or maybe they have a problem that they want to solve, and for me, whenever I wanted to do this whole internet thing, I always thought of like, how can I do this stuff? Okay. And for myself, whenever I do goals or I set priorities, I always use the end goal backwards approach. Okay. So I made a video about that as well. I probably made a video about everything that I talked about here, because I have over 1,000 videos. And it's always like, how to work on the internet. Because if you kind of know my story, I've been in the tech industry, I think like 10 years. So I've been in it for a while. And I didn't enjoy what I was doing. Okay, I think anybody who's been in a situation or a job or profession that they didn't enjoy, at a certain point that's going to get to you. And so I was like, well, how can I do something that that is not that? And so whenever the internet started growing and I saw more and more people actually doing this, I'm like, wow, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to actually work on the internet. Okay, I want to do something on the internet. And it led me to YouTube. And once again, I have done a video about this before, but for anybody who's new to this, or maybe who's watching this later, I decided to go on this thing called YouTube. I looked up a lot of videos, and I actually found one. And I found a lot of videos, to be honest with you. But the channel that I found at that time was Project Life Mastery. And I have talked about his channel before and a few other creators. And that's kind of what led me to doing this whole thing, because from his actual channel, I bought a course. It was KMoney Mastery. It was basically how to make Amazon Kindle books and to make money off of that. And for me, I was like, okay, that's cool. I've never written a book before. I don't know anything about doing stuff on Amazon. And so from his content, going back to this education part, from his content, his channel, and many other channels, but his was the main one that really started things. I not only learned how to do Amazon books, because I do have books on Amazon. I have products, but I also learned how to create a website. I have done websites before, but that was in the old days where you would do everything coding, Hey, keep it techie. How's it going? Thanks for joining. Carlos, yes, Brazil. And yeah, so I started learning how to do websites the new way. And so before, we would have to hand code everything. Then we learned this new way of doing WordPress websites. I've never done WordPress before. Hey, Photography for Tips, thanks for joining. And so I learned how to create a WordPress website. And I don't think I've really talked much about this before. I might have in older videos. I don't remember because I've created so many videos. But I learned how to create a WordPress website. And that's the thing that you'll see. Whenever you find these YouTube creators, and they don't necessarily have to be in YouTube. You can find a website, a podcast, even social media. This is the power of the internet. This is why I feel that in the future, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to have to be a creator of some sort. And this is why I think it's so powerful. So just relating back to my story, because of this YouTube creator that I found and many other creators, it led me to this whole internet thing, okay? Because I did not know what I needed to do. But with each person, each creator that I learned from, I learned that, okay, if you want to be on the internet, you need to have some type of internet skills. Okay, and so then I learned things such as creating a website. And then later on, thanks to this other YouTuber, it was Engineer Truth, and he had a person who he worked with, Seth Jared. And I did a video about this a while back, digital marketing. And I've like dabbled in some of this before, but it taught me a new skill. And as you could probably tell, all these skills that I learned from other creators, mainly YouTube creators, led me to what I'm doing now. And this isn't the end. You're gonna learn. I'm gonna learn way more things. And as I get better, I want to share that with you, the people who are watching, because that is the power of platforms like YouTube. You could actually take something you've learned, your experience, and you could share that and teach somebody else. Because I'm pretty sure out of these 1,000 videos, somebody out there probably came here because they had a problem or they wanted to learn something. Let's say, for example, my open shot videos. I think High-End Cheap Tech, that's how he found my channel. Carlos, I'm not sure how you found my channel. I think it was the Linux content. But one of these pieces of content that I created was like, oh, I want to learn something. And because of that, now they've learned something and now they can apply it to their life, however they want to use it. And that's crazy to me, So that's always been something that I really found a lot of fulfillment in, because it was something that I created that helped somebody else. And then they in turn can help somebody else as well. And so you see how that works. It's like the whole paying forward thing, right? You're paying it forward, but at the same time, this is what's so cool about being on the internet. You can actually make a living out of this. That blows my mind. It's like, let me tell you this story. And I'm pretty sure I made a video out of this. So when I started this whole WordPress thing, I started learning stuff on the internet. I had a website and I was trying to make money from affiliate marketing. And in like 6 months, I made like less than $2. And so let me read some of this. So Carlos is saying, the best thing about YouTube is being able to learn just about everything from motorcycle mechanics to speaking Russian. Absolutely. That's awesome. And yeah, so that's definitely true. And High-End Cheap Tech saying, tech, one person, one thing each day, and you are a success. And Keep It Techie said, I learned a lot from you, bro. Keep up the great work. Paid for it. But yeah, thanks, y'all. And just going back to the whole idea of you can actually earn a living from this. And as I was saying about my very first website, I was trying to make money from affiliate marketing. In 6 months, I made less than $2. I think it was like $1.38, something like that. That was my affiliate marketing success. And that really hurt because I spent a lot of time, hundreds of hours. I don't know. It was crazy. And then when I saw that I made less than $2, I was like, wow, this is stupid. Or maybe I'm stupid. Why am I even doing this? And then my YouTube channel, it took like 2 years to get 100 subscribers. You could go back and look at my channels. It took me a long time. I'm not a grow fast type person. I'm more of a grow steady type person. But even then, I was just like, dude, this sucks. I probably could have made more money going out in the street and asking for money. I probably could have made more money than spending 6 months on a website that made less than $2, 2 years on my YouTube channel before I had 100 subscribers. And but it taught me something because I was doing other things as well. But whenever I made that first dollar online, it absolutely blew my mind because I already had the goal and the vision from that video that I made a long time ago, less than, 20 subscribers, to educate, entertain, and be entrepreneurial. But all of those things took time. But then when I made that first dollar online, that showed to me that it was possible for me because I was looking at these other creators, successful entrepreneurs. They've done it already. So I knew it was possible. And this is a thing that I think a lot of us have to do for ourselves. You could see all these people who are making it online, which is great. You want to see and learn from people who've actually had success in where you want to be. But at the same time, if you haven't done it for yourself, it's really hard because then you don't have the belief that you can do it. So whenever I made that first dollar, it was like bittersweet because in one case, I was like, wow, I made a first dollar off of something that I created for my brain. that was crazy. But the second thing is, it took me like 6 months to a year. I was like, oh man. So anyway, that's something that I think if you are going to be a creator, just kind of keep that in mind that it's going to be really challenging and it's going to take time because unless you've done it before or unless you know somebody who's done this as a content creator, it could be very demoralizing. I'm not going to lie to you. That's tough. Especially if you have other people around you who've never done this before, more than likely they're not going to support you. More than likely they're going to tell you something like you should just go back, get a job, or stay at what you're doing. I don't care if it's a job or business. It doesn't matter. Just stay in what you're doing and, just don't waste your time on this. That's probably what you're going to hear. And a lot of times people aren't telling you that because they want you to fail. At least I don't think they are. Maybe they are. Who knows? But most of the times it's because you haven't been around people who've actually done it. Now, if you are around people who are successful in the areas you want to be successful in, then more than likely they're not going to tell you that. More than likely they're going to tell you things that they've learned that have helped them overcome these challenges. And that kind of goes back to this whole thing about educating people with your creations. And that's what I want to do here. Now, I'm by no means some successful guy, at least not yet, who's driving around a Lambo. And even if I was, earning that much with my business, I don't know if I could drive a Lambo. I'd probably run into a house or something. But I do want to say that if you are going to be doing this, you're going to be a content creator for the long term, just really don't forget why you did it in the first place. And I know this sounds cheesy, but I think if you're doing things that you find valuable and at the same time people are getting value out of it, all that other stuff, the money stuff, the entrepreneurial stuff, all that other stuff kind of comes because of what you're doing. So let me apply that to the real world, right? For a lot of us, most of us, we go to school, we get an education, and we go out into the workforce and get a job. If you actually think about that, that's not easy. You had to spend many years learning skills, developing your craft, learning how to deal with people. These are all real valuable things. And if you think about it, it just wasn't just a few years. It was pretty much a lifetime for you to get to where you are today. Okay? And so I want to take that over to this whole idea of being a content creator. It's the same thing. But the thing is, this isn't what's taught, at least not right now. We have a system that works for a lot of countries. It is a system that produces employees. It is a system that produces commerce. So it's important. It's important for you to go through this system because without this system, most countries wouldn't be able to survive. Okay, so we need that system. Okay, and now in this whole new world of technology, we have a new system. We have a new class. And this system is the creative system, the creative class. And this is something that I pretty much talk a lot about in here, maybe not directly, but this is the next evolution of where the world is heading. And unfortunately, at least right now, we don't have those systems in place to teach people. And so that's why we have places like YouTube where people like myself, or maybe you as a creator, you are part of this new system. You're helping people to develop new skills, gain new experiences, and, basically create a new different type of lifestyle that was pretty much not available or possible before. And so that's kind of why I really feel so strongly, or it is why I feel so strongly about creating content that educates people first. I think that's, to me, the way that I think you could help people for the long term. And at the same time, because you are educating people, you are learning more skills, you're getting more experience, so you're getting better as well. And so that's really a long-winded way of explaining everything, but I did want to talk about that, So first and foremost, the whole thing that I wanted to do with this was try out the new YouTube Live. I didn't plan it or anything, but my overall thoughts with it, I do like it. It's still not quite as simple as the original, but it's not quite as tech-heavy as well. You just copy this key over to your streaming tool, which is in this case OBS, and then you just hit record. You could actually see preview and everything. So I think the new YouTube Live works better than the real technical one that they had before. Not quite as simple as the original, but I do like it better. And then the second thing is this whole channel update, where it's heading. and really the things that I value a lot about being a content creator. And what I really value the most about all of this, besides everything that I mentioned, is the community. I have a few people here, but every person to me is important from the community. And this is really cool because you're connecting with people that you'll probably never meet, or if you never did this, they would have never known. Okay, and so that is something that's absolutely crazy to me. How can you be connecting or talking with people not only within your country but around the world, speaking different languages, having different cultures? They have different life experiences than you, and you can learn a lot from them. And this is something that I feel that is so valuable because of the internet. We are able to learn a lot about other people, other cultures. There's a lot of things going on in the world, and it's really amazing to me to be able to have some way of not only connecting with people but you growing as well. Because if you're not living in these countries, you're not going through what they're going through, you're not learning what they're learning, it's really hard for you to try to understand other people's perspective and what they're going through, and what they're learning, and how they could share their knowledge with you. And so, as always, whenever I make these videos, I'm always thinking to myself, there is another person on the other side or other people on the other side. And I'm always grateful for that. I'm always thankful for people who are here because whenever you start out as a creator, just getting that first view, having that first subscriber, connecting with that first person, it is weird. It is really weird. But over time, you really learn how to value these connections, And I'm not going to say everything's great, because we are people at the end of the day. But just imagine that. Imagine that you're like reaching people all around the world 24 hours a day. And so that's another extremely important thing. I would say it's up there with education. I just put it the same. The educating part and the community, the people that you're connecting with, that to me is absolutely priceless. And it's something that will really affect you for years to come, because even though you might never meet these people, okay, like I go back to my example, this creator, this successful entrepreneur that I found, I haven't met him yet. I will meet him in the future, but he's already impacted my life, and he's impacted millions of people. And so you as a content creator could do the same thing. And so that's pretty much it for this YouTube live and also a channel update. It wasn't anything that I planned, but I really wanted to first test out the YouTube live stream, and it works. I do like it. But more importantly, I wanted to do channel update and really talk about what's going on in the channel, my view on things, and also what I really value. And the people who are here, thank you so much for joining this. I know it is random. And in terms of anybody else who's been watching my channel for a while, they're used to see me doing YouTube live streams. I don't intend to do this regularly, and so it's not like what I did before. Back then I did live streams like every single week. I don't intend on doing that just for the reasons that I talked about earlier. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for me. And so that is it for this particular episode. I want to thank everybody here. High-end cheap tech, keep it techie, photography tips, Carlos Henrique, and anybody else who actually watches this later on. And if you actually had any thoughts in this, whether you are a creator right now, you're thinking of becoming a creator, or maybe you're just somebody who really enjoys this stuff, or had your own ideas on it, be sure to leave that in the comments area below. And whenever I do post this video, I will leave a link to my original video where I had like less than 20 subscribers, where I was talking about the goals, the values, the priorities of this channel, which is still the same to this day. So thanks a lot, and we will see you on another episode. And if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.